Hey guys, this is Carrie here from Artstitution, and today I'm going to teach you step by step how to paint a giraffe with a floral headdress. If you've been watching my videos recently, I have a chicken in recovery, so she got attacked, so she's been my little recovery room is also my painting room, so I have some animals down here. So if you hear some funny noises, that's not what I ate for breakfast. It's my chicken on my lap, Rosie. Okay, so today I am going to be using a 16 by 20 inch stretched canvas. You don't have to use that same size. It's a good one. The rectangular ones are good for this one because the long neck of the giraffe. But it's not to say you can't use a different size, a different shape. You just have to change the composition. I have my three paint brushes that I use. I have my larger flat one, my medium flat one, and my small round one. I like to keep it simple when I paint. Of course, you don't need to have these. You can use your own. It's totally up to you. These are what I feel comfortable with. I have my paper plate. I always have a couple paper plates just in case I run out of room. I have a paper towel. Actually, I have 3 pieces of paper towel. Of course, I have my paint, so I always have a lot of egg cartons for eggs for my chickens, and they also are great to put your paint in. I filled mine up all the way to the top, so I don't have to get up in the middle of my tutorials. So I put more than I need to. You don't need this much paint in yours, but if you do put a lot, you could always stick this into a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, and this will be good for a couple days. And then, of course, I have water. Okay. Now, what a lot of people like to do is they like to print out the original painting first. So if you want, there is a thumbnail of the painting that we're doing, and you can just print that out if it helps you. So all right, we're gonna go. So I like to do all my mixing with this middle flat brush, just because the big one it scoops up too much, and when I mix it, it just, there's nothing left over after that. It's kind of like sucks up all the paint, and then it moves all the paint around. This little guy just doesn't scoop enough for me. So I like to use this middle brush. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna actually draw the whole giraffe out, okay? And we're gonna go step by step, obviously, but the way I paint is I'll do a wash or an underpainting first. So we're gonna get rid of the white, and then we're gonna build on that with highlights, and it's really the highlights that make it pop out and give it dimension, make it look more realistic. So what we're gonna do first is we're actually gonna mix a color for to sketch out the giraffe. So I never use a pencil, just because when I use a pencil, people kind of, they get eraser crazy. So excuse me. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna teach you how to make brown. So you're gonna take this brush, and I'm also a very lazy painter, so I don't like to wash my brush unless I absolutely have to. So the way I get around that is I won't dip my dirty brush directly into another color. So I'm gonna do 4 scoops of yellow onto my plate. Okay, so now I have a dirty brush. Now I'm going to take red, and I'm going to do a scoop of red, like that, and I'm going to mix it. Okay. You gotta get out of the way, babe. No, you can't eat that. You. Okay, so now you have this orange color, okay? Now you're gonna take some blue, just a little bit of blue. You can always add more blue, okay? And I'm gonna add some blue to that. Okay. Now I want you to keep adding blue until it's a nice muddy orange. Okay. So now we have this muddy orange. Now we're going to add a little bit of black to it. Not much? Okay. So now we have this nice brown color. Now we're just going to add a little bit of white into a section of it. So now we're going to have a nice light color here. That's the light we're going to use to draw it out. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. So you only need to see it, okay? So it doesn't have to be dark because we're going to be actually going over it a bit later. I just want like some kind of natural color that we could use, okay? Here we go. So now you can take, I'm going to switch between these two brushes. So if you feel more comfortable with this brush, absolutely use this brush, or you can use the bigger brush. What we're going to do first is we're going to figure out where the neck's going to come out of, okay? Because that's very important with your giraffe. So I'm going to just kind of, and don't worry about with the placement and where things are. It's not a permanent thing. We can move things around later. It's absolutely not a big deal. Okay. So the tricky part about this is we want a long neck, but we also need to keep some room for the flowers. So we're going to go about, I'd say 1/3. If this is one, let's see, yeah, about 1/3 of the way up. And then we're going to make it almost looks like a house. Okay, we're going to make or it looks like that pi sign. Is that right, pi sign? Okay, and then the thing about the giraffe, it's much like a horse where it's got the jawbone is really kind of what is very defined in it. So we're going to make a jawbone here, okay? And also the lips. So we're going to have, and just keep it simple. The mouth is just going to come out over here a bit. So we're just going to make a circle here for now. And then we're going to make 2 circles on top. It looks like a little monster, like Cookie Monster or something. Okay. Keep it simple. And then, okay, we're going to come up here. And then up, let's see, we're going to come up here with the, let's go like meet up here, okay? Okay, so now you're going to have this line going up the head of the giraffe here. And this is just so you know the placement, the angle of the head. So it's kind of tilted, turning to its left. Okay, then you're going to have just a circle here for the eye for now. Another thing about the giraffe is it has very far spaced out eyes. And again, we're just sketching it out, okay? We're going to change things, adjust things later. Then we have this big ear coming up here. Sort of like an almond shape. And then over here, we're going to have another ear, which is going to be more like a triangle shape, but not pointy. Sort of starts off looking a bit like a deer. And then, of course, you have these little horns. Got one here. And then you got one here. Okay. Now, don't forget there's going to be flowers all over the place here. Okay. See how easy that was? And what's good about these videos is you can pause, you can come back, go at your own pace, and all that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take this color, and I want you to just paint in. all of this nice and light. I know it's going to be brush strokey, and if you've painted with me before, you get the process. We're going to do 2 layers of this dark color. It's not dark per se, but we're going to do 2 layers of this, I guess you'd say tan color. And when you, I really, even though we're going to paint it in all the same color, I still want you to kind of go around the shapes that we made like a puzzle, and we'll pull them out later. But for now, we're just gonna go around it so your mind kind of gets used to those shapes. So this little girl on my lap, Rosie, she was getting picked on by the other chickens, and unfortunately she's kind of the smallest one, so I got a huge hen, Big Bertha. She just terrorizes all of the other chickens, and she's huge, a bit of a bully. So I gotta get Rosie recovered here and figure out what I'm gonna do with the bigger chicken. I think I'm gonna have to create a whole nother coop and have give her some friends who are as big as her. Who knows? But anyway, in the meantime, Rosie's gonna be painting with me for a little bit. She's a good animal. Good creature. Very sweet. I'm not sure she knows she's a chicken actually, but that's okay, because she's part of the family. All right, so I know you're gonna be, you're gonna want to go thick on this, because I know it's annoying seeing all these lines, but really just try to be patient. So see how I'm still gonna paint this in round, and you're gonna lose a little bit of, you're gonna kind of like lose that shape in there, but just kind of, as long as you can kind of visualize where those shapes are, that's all you need. Okay? Same thing over here. And anytime I use a specific color, you don't need to use that same color. Like the background is going to be, I'm going to do like a purpley magenta color. You don't have to use that color if you don't want to. If you want this to match a certain room that you have, you can absolutely do that. And take your time, really smooth it out. And I think I'm totally gonna run out of paint, but that's okay. Let's see if I can manage. So, if you run out of paint, just make more. No big deal. And it doesn't even need to be exactly the same color, because this is just our wash. This is our foundation for our entire painting. So we're gonna actually paint right on top of this. Okay. We're gonna do the nose here. And we got the mouth. I think this is just as therapeutic for Rosie as it is me. She always falls asleep on my lap when I paint. Maybe it's my voice. Who knows? My kids like to watch Bob Ross when they go to sleep. It really does. It absolutely makes them fall asleep. All right, so now we have this beak looking thing. Just under it, we're gonna just do a little half circle. for the bottom of the mouth. Okay. All right, now we're going to do the neck. Feel free to put music on. I typically do listen to music, but obviously you may not like the music I listen to, so it's always nice to have your little spot and have your, put your headphones on and just relax, listen to your podcast, whatever you do, whatever makes you comfortable. I have one of my kids is having a sleepover tonight, so I knew I wasn't probably going to be very relaxed to do this later, so I woke up early and before they will wake up to do this, get myself in a good mind frame for tonight. Look at that, I did have enough paint. I'll have to make more for before the second coat. All right, so as we go on, I like to do the edges too. So as I switch colors, I like to do the edges here. Okay, so now we have that. All right, so while that is drying, we're going to put a coat on the background. Now, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the magenta color, purpley color. But this would really look cool with, I don't know, any color really. So you can pick. I will show you how to make the magenta color. So really, it's more of a purple actually. So to make purple, you're going to do, mine's a little bit on the red side, so I'm going to do 3 scoops of red. And from the edge of the blue, I'll do 2 scoops of blue. It's a lot of blue. And then I'm going to mix it up. And I'm getting to this reddish purpley color. Okay, now it's really dark, so I'm going to add a little bit of white to see what I actually have here. All right, I think I want mine a bit redder. So purple is pretty much equal amounts of red and blue, but doesn't mean you have to do equal amounts of red and blue. There's purples that are on the reddish side, there's purples that are on the bluish side, and I'm sure there's fancy words for all those colors, but just kind of mess around. I think I want mine really on the red side, so I'm gonna add a bit more red. Sometimes you don't know what color you want until you start mixing, and then it kind of comes out. All right, so I have this purpley color, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing the background in this purple color. And feel free to, sorry, hit you in the head, if you want to have this big guy nearby for the bigger spaces, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way around. And this is where you can really get in the zone. And again, don't worry about everything being perfect. right now, acrylic paint's great because you can overlap and it dries so fast that, you know, when we go back to the giraffe, if you want to adjust some shapes, you absolutely can. This is just the beginning. Okay, I'm going to switch to this brush. This big brush is great for really spreading the paint out. Painting is really a great thing because it kind of gets you to a place in your head. It's so private, and it's, you know, sometimes it's cool to make that time to spend with yourself, you know, and your soul. We're so, you know, there's so much going on in the world. It's very easy to get caught up in other people's lives and other people's problems, and, you know, I think it's good to just be able to forget about it, at least for portions of the day. And this is a great way. Also, it shows you the beauty in life. You know, I think these days we see too much of the ugly part of life, but I think we need to start seeing the beautiful parts, because the world is very beautiful. I'm homeschooling my kids now, God help them, but I'm actually learning a lot. I'm probably learning as much as them. And we're learning about space. So space is so cool to me. It's a bit scary too. I guess because of the unknown part of it, but we're watching this video of all these, like, they're talking about all the planets and things and what's going on on these planets. And then they get to Earth, and Earth is just like this utopia of perfectness when you look at it from space, and when you compare it to the other planets, and it's like, man, if I were an alien on another planet, I would totally come to Earth for vacation or something. It really does look like the perfect planet. And in many ways, there is, you know, we've got so many great things going for us. We as humans. Oh, I don't know. I just thought that was such a cool perspective, like looking at Earth from space. Can't hear anybody or see anybody, or you just see this beautiful blue and green perfection. It's kind of cool. It's like so hard to wrap your head around how it even all works. That's totally not my thing. I will admire it from afar. That's very confusing to me, science and that stuff. But luckily we have all those great, you know, astrologists and scientists who are out there figuring it all out for us, or trying to. All right, so as I'm going along, I want to do the edges too. But you know what? I'm going to do the edges last, so it gives a little bit more drying time for the middle. And that's what a lot of this is about. We're giving ourselves drying time. And luckily, this is a very big painting. Like, it's big enough where, you know, we'll be working in different sections for quite a bit, so there's going to be plenty of drying time. So I know I always talk about leverage, but it's so important. Your canvas is not attached to your easel, so you can absolutely pick it up and turn it around. I do it every painting I do. I need to be comfortable when I paint, so I rely on that. I'm trying not to, leave any white anywhere. This paintbrush is great, really great for spreading out the paint really thin. Oh, did I get paint on your head? Sorry, Rosie. You look like an artsy chicken. Welcome to the club. All right, so once I do that, then I'm gonna do the edges. So when you do the edges, you won't have to put, you won't have to frame this or anything. It actually it looks really good when it's on the wall. What the heck was that? Ooh. All right. I'm definitely gonna have to remix everything, but that's okay. It's good because then we practice mixing our colors. What am I missing? The bottom? Yep. Okay, we're almost there. This one was a quick underpainting. So it's really important to get rid of all the white first, because it kind of is distracting. The bright white is very distracting too. You can't really get a good feeling of what the other colors are. So now you're going to wash all your two brushes you were using. And of course, I'd say this every time, that water likes to get stuck in this metal part. So just make sure you wash that off really good. All right. Take a sip of my coffee because I need it today. Okay, so now I still have some of my brown here, but I'm out of the lighter brown, so I'm just going to take some white and I'm just going to mix it in until it gets to be, I try to match that pile. It doesn't have to be exact at all. Okay, so now we're going to do a second coat on this guy here, or girl. And if you feel it, you'll see that it's dry. And that's what's really cool about acrylic paint, is that it dries really fast. So when you paint, it's, I know it's very scary at first, because anything you start at first can be scary, but it gets less scary as you go and you learn things and all of that. But really all it is, you know, color manipulated to appear to be, you know, to make things three-dimensional. And with the way I paint, it's really just using different variations of lights and dark colors to create something that is three-dimensional. That's it, you know? Like, we're starting with the dark, and we're going to add highlights to this and shadows, and it's going to end up looking like a giraffe. So the biggest thing is just be patient. You know, it's a lot of times people want it to look like, you know, you're going to go from a white canvas to this beautiful, magnificent piece of artwork in 5 minutes, and that's not how it works. You have to work at it. Alright. And again, just go around those shapes, and it's all going to kind of mush in together, but that's totally fine. And I even like to overlap in the background a bit, just so it doesn't look so cut out. I know, Rosie. You want to paint, don't you? Maybe we'll try that when you get a little bit better. So painting is a lot like meditating, in the sense where you lose yourself in the moment. And, you know, that's what you're going for. You want to kind of be in the moment. I think people need to be in the moment more. Right, Rosie, you agree with me? It's like really funny the way life works, you know. I don't know if you feel this way, but I know sometimes I feel guilty for so much, and then I find myself going like, why am I feeling guilty right now? It's like, I feel guilty if I don't work out, but then I feel guilty if I work out, and I, you know, like my kids play video games for an hour while I work out. It's like I'm guilty. I feel guilty either way, when I shouldn't. You know, you shouldn't feel guilty. It's like, I wonder why or how this happened. You know, you should be able to sit down and have your time to yourself without feeling guilt. And I think when you realize that and you do take the time, it doesn't take long to realize, wow, you know, I need this for me to make me a better human. You know, so ultimately, you know, you are a better human. I mean, isn't that what we're here for, is to be the best versions of ourselves and the best people. But it's nice to see when you really come down to it how people really do help each other. They can be, sometimes people can say things that they typically normally wouldn't say on social media and all that stuff. I know everybody's, that's a big concern about for a lot of people, but I think ultimately most people have goodness inside of them, and everybody's just kind of confused and getting kind of antsy being home. By the way, yes, we are still in the pandemic. If you're wondering, if you're watching this video 10 years into the future, then who knows what the world's like. But right now, we're still dealing with coronavirus. But you know what? I think it will come out better in the end. I really do think everything's going to be better in the end. By the way, if you're going much, much faster than me, then what's cool about having these videos is you can just fast forward or go get a cup of coffee. And if I talk too much, you can just mute me. That's cool too. I won't be offended. All right, so after this, we are going to do one more coat on the background. Okay. Of course, I don't have that color in the background anymore, so I'll have to make some more. And if you want to change your color, make it different, you absolutely can. This will be the time. So I have some blue, but I'm going to add a lot more red because I want mine on the reddish side. Personally, you do not have to do that. So I'm going to add a little white to see what this actually looks like. Okay. All right, cool. Yes, that's what I want here. A dark purple. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take some white and we're going to, of course, this is what I'm doing. You don't have to do this. I'm going to make some brush strokes, including some white as I go down. Okay, so I kind of get white streaky things in there. It's just a neat technique. And then we can be done with the background. So we can let that dry, work on the middle, and then by the time we get to the flowers, this will be nice and dry. All right, so I'm gonna get it closer here with this smaller brush. Even if you want to use the tiny brush, it's totally up to you. You know, this isn't about what's right and what's wrong. I'm only teaching you how I paint. Okay, you might look at, go to a class or do another tutorial where they paint completely different, and that's cool. You gotta find what works for you. Rosie agrees. So, like I mentioned before, we want to take our time with this because we're actually allowing the middle to dry. So it needs that time. So take your time and relax. And even if you want to go back to the background later, you absolutely can. There's never a time where you can't go back at any point. Okay. And of course, with the leverage thing, if you want to turn it over, do that. Try to keep it, simple. You can always, work on it later. Just get that second coat in. Even at the end, sometimes I'll go back and add some lights or darks to give it more of a contrast. See, I like to kind of mix a purple, a lighter purple into there, so I have it right next to my my darker purple, so I can just kind of add it as I want to it. Add more in there. It's really, honestly, you can just mess around and kind of just keep going until you feel good about it. I might have to mix more of this color, and that's okay. It's funny, just me coming down here to paint will start my day off a lot happier and more relaxed. Now once could do some yoga too, then I'll be really relaxed. We'll see that go out the window like the minute the sleepover starts. But that's okay. That's just life. Boys will always be crazy, and girls will never understand them. Very hard to paint with a chicken on your lap. Okay. We're getting there. Sorry about the glare. Let's see if I can. I feel like every video I do this. Let's see if I can get rid of that glare. This is low budget. Low budget. We don't need a big budget for this. Just teaching you guys. When did things get so fancy anyway? I don't even know. Okay, I ran out of paint, of course, so I'm going to mix some more. I like to mix it right on that pile so I have it. So like it's a good comparison when I mix it right on the pile. So I kind of know what I need more of. I think I got it. And even if it's not the same, that's okay. And I can always go back and like put some in over here to match it a bit. See, you can learn stuff and then, you know, do your own thing with it. That's what's so cool about art. It's like you learn all these techniques and then you can run with it, you know? People ask me all the time, like, can I do this? I'm like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. That's what's so awesome about it. Nobody can tell you, like, it's not the way. I mean, people can tell you that's not the way to do it, but who's to say? And that's my favorite part, is seeing everybody's different. Don't eat that paint. Did you eat it? Don't eat the paint. Everybody's different versions, interpretations of a painting is so awesome. And, you know, copying a painting is boring. I mean, why would you want a million versions of the same painting? I mean, that's just, to me, makes no sense. I mean, like when we go to museums, you know, my kids have their favorites. I have my favorites. And I'm sure you guys have your favorite style. You know, even your decor of your house, you have a certain style. Some people like country, folk art. Some people like modern art. And, you know, people laugh at me because I tell people, like, you know, you have a style, and they're like, oh, I'm not an artist. And I'm like, it's, if you have a signature, the way you write your name, and a style of your signature, then you have a style of painting, and everybody has it. And, you know, you want to learn stuff, but embrace your own unique style too. Because you want to stand out. And you want to be different. Kids totally get that. It's just adults sometimes it's a little bit harder to convince. You falling asleep, buddy? Put that on your beak. All right. So once we got that, let's see if I can see. Hopefully that glare won't be annoying. All right, so once you got that, wash your brush off. And we're gonna start pulling apart these pieces in here. All right, so you have your original pile of this brown, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to add some yellow just on top of a corner of that light color we did. And I want you to add some white. Okay, so now you're gonna have this like lighter yellowy tan color. Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna do first is I love starting at the jawbone. So we're gonna start at the jawbone. You don't need a lot of paint here. So what you're gonna do is go around the eyeball, and we're gonna actually be pulling the puzzle pieces apart. And go slow. And you know, the giraffe is kind of fuzzy, so I'm going to show you how to put hair and stuff all around it. But here's where we're going to kind of pull this guy out. So you have the nostril. I'm sure you can still see it, so just go around the nostril. Whoop. Whoop. You can use the smaller brush if you want to. I'm being very lazy. So we're going to go all around, take it slow. All right. I go really slow, so I apologize if I say all the time I have commitment issues. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to come around this eye, like that. I'm just going to go straight up. You don't have to go all the way up because we're going to put little black things at the tips of those, so you don't have to go all the way up. So I'm totally going to run out of paint. Of course I am. Of course I'm going to run out of paint. So instead of ghost painting like this, ghost painting is when I somehow think that I'm going to create more paint on my palette if I scrub enough. I'm actually just going to go do brown all over. So unless you have brown, which is fine, I like to make brown. So it's 4 scoops of yellow to 1 scoop of red. Then you add some touches of blue until it gets to be looking like muddy, well, mud really, muddy orange. And then you're going to add some black, just a little bit. All right, so now I have my base color of brown. Now to this, I'm going to add some yellow and some white until I get to that lighter color here. You might have to keep on adding yellow and white. till you get it. I know it'd be easier for me to tell you to go out and get all these colors, but then you wouldn't be learning all this, which is important. Okay, so that's close enough. I know it's a tad off, but that's okay. And you might be saying, well, I don't see it being a tad off, but my eye, I can definitely see it. All right, so now I have paint, yay. So you can just leave the tip of that. Now it's much easier to paint when I have actual paint. All right, so cover all that with this lighter color. The biggest thing is we're gonna pull apart all these different sections. So when you get to the ear, all you gotta do is go around the ear like that. You don't have to do the middle. Same thing over here, just go around. Okay. Now we go very slowly with like doing the highlights. Typically I'll do 3. For this guy I might do 4. So I don't want to jump. Sometimes when you make the jump too quick to the highlights, it looks funny. You want to have the transition, you want to have the correct amount of steps. Okay, so when you get to the eyelids, so here's where it gets tricky, because you want the highlights to be in the middle here, but you want to keep the dark on the edges, okay, because it's round. So try to keep the dark around the edges, but just do the middle. So keep the dark around the edges and just do and try to, so it's not abruptly ending, so you want to smooth it out. Okay, so all we're going to do here, down here, is the right bottom part, and then we're going to it's going to transition into the dark. So it's like the light is only hitting this side. Excuse me. And then we come down here, we're going to keep the dark under the head. So for now, we're just going to paint all this in. I like to, again, overlap my purple, because we're going to start doing little, I like kind of making it look like hairs coming out here, making it a little choppy. All right. So we're just going to kind of keep the dark under there. So what I like to do with this middle brush is I'll flatten it like this, and I'll use it like a razor blade to get into like little sections, like if I want to go underneath here, or if I want to make little hairs coming out here. I prefer using that. But you can use the tiny one too. Whatever feels comfortable. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a, that's where the shade's going to be later. Okay, so I'm going to now whip out my tiny brush. And I'm going to just up here with the nose, we're just going to kind of come around here. Do a highlight in the middle of the nose. Like a donut. All right. All right, so I'm gonna take that brush again, the middle one. Okay, now we're gonna take some more yellow. Of course, you see that I'm only taking sections of my pile just in case I need, excuse me, that color again. So I'm gonna take more yellow, more white. Now we want to, and there was some purple in there, but that's okay. We want it lighter and yellower than the previous one. So every time we transition now, it's going to be a bit lighter. Okay, so I like to look at it against my other color. So this is definitely lighter. It's not crazy lighter, but it's lighter. All right, so I'm going to start. My paintbrush is super gooey. I'm going to start in the middle, and again, you don't have to use this paintbrush. Remember, we're going to go up this way. Okay, so here's the cool thing about this. We are going to transition this until it blends into the background of the color. So we're just going to kind of bring it up there until it disappears. Okay. So the lightest part is down here and it kind of disappears up there. All right. Now we're going to do the jaw. And if you want to do little hairs coming out here, I always think animals look cute with little hairs coming out. So we're going to make that shot. I like to leave a little darker spot underneath here, but that's, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. And we're just gonna, this is gonna be the lightest spot here. And we're gonna come up here. And again, we're gonna transition into the darker. And you can always go back, if it helps you, into the darker color. And that's why I keep the darker color. That's why I keep all of the colors, in case I have to go back. So when, see how it starts getting kind of mushy there? You might want to go back to the, I'll show you in a second. I'll just kind of keep on doing this. So I have my darker color next to it, and I'll just kind of transition these two a little better. So you want to keep the dark here. And over here, same thing. I like to make little wispies. And then just kind of blend it. And you just want a little bit of darkness on the side of these to kind of differentiate between the two. All right. And up here, we're going to do this. We're going to highlight it. And every time we go lighter, we go less. So now the more we do, the more this is gonna come out. You don't have to be super, like you can be choppy, and I like the way that looks personally. Same thing up here, we're gonna do a little bit of a highlight on this side. You don't have to cover everything, just kind of make a bit of a highlight over here. You're gonna pull out that eye again. Pull out that eye, that sounds terrible. Don't pull out any eyes. Okay. All right, remember there's going to be black at the top of there, so. All right, when you come up to here, I want you to kind of make a half circle so it kind of looks like the original color we had, that dark. We're making that a shape. Now we have all, and don't go, don't go crazy up here because that we're gonna have all the flowers and stuff going on. All right, so let's do this guy again. Only on the right side. And then blend it up. And we're going to be using darks later too, so you'll see things popping out with the darks. The darks will make the lights look lighter. Let's put it that way. All right, so the eyelids, we're going to come this way. Now what I want you to do is we're going to be putting a line like that with the lighter color. Okay? But we're going to transition into the darker. You want the darker to stay. So keep the darker. See how it goes from light to dark? Keep that dark there. Same thing over here. We're going to do the eyelid, just the middle, so you keep the dark on the edges. to switch to this guy here. And I'm just going to do just under the eye like that. And then I'm going to do these nostrils. Okay. Notice, so switch to this guy again. And we're going to come down here. And we're going to do just some hairs like this. You can keep some of the dark under it. I think we'll do one more, the lightest of lights. And then we'll go do some darks, and then we'll do the flowers, and then we're done. Okay, so we're gonna take this pile again, take some yellow, take some whites, and we're gonna have a really light light. Okay, so now we're gonna have the jaw a bit lighter. We're definitely gonna have some highlight in here, going up the nose. Gonna have definitely a highlight on the eye, on the other eye. Let's see, here. Down here. Pardon me, geesh. Let's try here. Let's do one here. Maybe do some here. Remember, lighter, less. Let's do some here. Maybe do some here to break this up a bit. Let's do some down here. So you can go crazy with the highlights. You can go do 100 steps of lights and darks. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to kind of show you the process, and then you could go to town. All right, so we can always add more highlights towards the end, but for now, this looks good. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add some dark. So if you go back to your original, I should really wash my brush, but see how lazy I am. Your original brown, that dark one that we have, we're going to take that, and now we're going to kind of just go along this edge. And do a darker dark. And also, I want you to smooth that out so kind of the transition isn't so abrupt. Then we have this, make this a little bit darker here. here. And again, you're gonna subtly go into, you don't want it to be like a line. And you don't want to also, you can always go back to your, other colors if you want to go back and mix it. Like sometimes it's hard once things start drying. So if you want to go back into the lighter colors and mix that way, do that. I do that all the time. But you want it to be nice and just work on that transition here. Transitions are probably the trickiest things, but you get used to it after a while. Okay? Then you have the mouth here. Don't forget about that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's see. Okay, let's start doing inside the ears here. So the same thing we just did with the lights, we're going to do with the darks. I'm going to go darker and darker and darker. But of course, I ran out of brown again. Maybe I should just buy a tube of brown. I mean, really. Never. I like to torture myself, obviously. All right. So now we have, I'm going to do that original brown. So if you're mixing brown and you get to green, it just means you have too much yellow and blue. That's it. All right, so I have a brown here. All right. So now that I have that brown, I'm going to add a bit more black to it, just to a section, so it's darker brown, like really chocolatey brown. Okay, see how dark? It almost looks black. But if I actually used black, you could tell, like it would be like, bam, way too dark. So you're gonna go in the middle, in the bottom here, and you're gonna take that dark and you're just gonna move on out with it. Okay, so again, it's a transition. You wanna go slow and move your way out. Same thing over here. And up here you can start doing your darker all right, and then up here you can make this guy a bit darker. And again, it's going to be transitioning down. So you don't want a line there, you want to kind of make it fuzzy. Okay, and then if you want to do this line a little bit darker, do that. This nose part. a little bit darker. A line for the mouth, a little bit darker. And then I want you to just put some dark spots for the eyes for now. Just to put something there. Okay. All right. Now we're going to take some black. And again, you're going to go in the corner of the brown because you're kind of bringing the brown into there. Now, this won't be as scary going straight to black. And just kind of go over it. And the brown's going to come through, and that's what you want. Just come do a little bit of black there, a little bit of black there, inside there. You're gonna do the black. All right, now I'm definitely gonna switch. So you're gonna take that darkest of the dark, and you're gonna do the nostrils here. I like to make mine look like little kidney beans. I like to make them misshapen. All right. Now if you want to go back up with that blackest of the black, kind of do the tips so they kind of stand out from the background. Okay, we're getting there. Now the eyes. So the thing about the eyes is you have the top, you have the actual eye where the color is going to be, but then you have these huge eyelashes that come out like this. Okay, so for now we're just going to make a couple eyelashes that come out like that. And we'll highlight them later. Same thing on the bottom. You have the bottom of the eye, just like we did this, but ours is going to be a little bit darker on this side. And you're going to do just on the outer edge. We can do more later, but for now we'll just do that. Same thing over here. You're going to have this big old eye. And right now they look like zombies because we didn't put any glares in there or anything yet, which will make it look a lot better. Do the same thing. The lashes come down and out. Okay, down and out. Okay. Cool, we're getting there. All right, so we're gonna go back to our original brown, okay? And we're gonna start putting spots on these guys. Now, when you're doing the spots, you definitely wanna stay out of any kind of pattern, okay? They're gonna be definitely all different, so try not to repeat. Again, if you want to start up here to make it a little less stressful, you can. But try not to think too hard about it. Okay? Do little ones. Big ones. Nobody's going to be analyzing the spots on here, just so you know. They're going to be looking at this as a whole. That's my sugar glider yelling at me for being too loud. I'm going to actually take some of this brown and fix down here a bit. Mine was a bit abrupt, that shadow. All right, so let's see. Take your time. This part's really soothing. Oh, you just pooped on me. Okay, that's okay. I mean, that was inevitable. It's a good thing you guys don't have the sense of smell that I have right now. Okay, all right. So this is very, very therapeutic. But I just want you to keep in mind too that there's going to be flowers all around here, so don't go crazy with all these up here. All right, and I did put some on the eyes a little bit. And the funny thing about this is, like, it doesn't really look like a giraffe until we start doing the spots. Well, my kids are awake, so I will be getting a visitor. Or two. Okay. Just go, I know I keep saying this, go slow, but I can't reiterate that enough. All right, so after this, I'm going to show you how to do some eye shine on there. Really make the eyes pop. And then we do the flowers. It's going to be the same sort of thing. It's going to be a buildup of lights and darks, but the flowers are much easier. hard to know like when to stop. So I think less is is probably more. Less is more. As you can see, when I'm doing mine, I'm doing it very choppy. Kind of make it look like it's on hair. I might, well, I was going to say I might move to another brush, but maybe I'll just keep this one. Alright, well, just for time-wise sake, I'll time-wise, to let you know what what's going on in the world right now. We just had a crazy snowstorm with like 30-something inches here in the Hackettstown, Alamucci area. And of course, we don't have a snowblower, so that was, you know what? It made us closer in the family. A lot of yelling, but ultimately, the kids got $20. They were happy, and I got a great workout. But now we're supposed to get another snowstorm. I'm beginning to think that maybe Rosie's faking this just so she doesn't have to be outside. Which is really smart, Rosie. But yes, I think we're supposed to get like 5 or 7 inches. But hey, after what we just had, what's 5 or 7 inches more, right? We can handle anything. Okay, we're almost there. Yes, Rosie, we're almost there, baby. Okay. Believe it or not, the flowers on the top don't take very long. Okay. Awesome. All right, so now we have our giraffe with the spots. And you can actually go, you don't have to do this part, I mean, you can if you want to, but there's actually some darker spots in the middle of these spots. So if you want to just take the darker brown, you can do that, or skip this part altogether if you're happy. Clearly, my sugar gliders are not happy. Man, these animals have a life. Okay. You don't have to really think too much about this. Just kind of freely paint. And lots of times less is more with this kind of stuff. Okay. All right, so now we are going to take some white, and we're just going to mix a little bit of black into it just to make it a little bit gray, because we don't want like crazy light, too light. So, all right. So then we're going to come up here. Actually, I'm going to make mine a tad darker. So we want like a gray color. Okay. I'm going to come up here and just do just a highlight on the top of the eyelid. Okay. Same thing over here, just a highlight on the top of the eyelid. Under here, we're going to do a highlight on the bottom of the eyelid. Okay? Now, all you're going to do is do a bit of the lashes like that. Just a highlight on the lashes so you can see them. Same thing over here. Okay. Try to make them a little lighter so you guys can see them. Again, you can flatten your brush by doing this and this and using it like a razor blade. That's what I like to do. Not everybody likes to do that. I'm making mine lighter so you guys can see a little better. All right. And then we're just gonna take that gray and make a little bit of a gleam like that. Okay. Now we're gonna make a little bit of a darker gray, and all you're gonna do, this might be too light, is go, that's all right, in the middle of the nose right here. Just put two little spots. All right, so before we do the flowers, actually, you know what? With the same gray, I ran out, of course. You don't want it too light, or you can make some highlights up here. That's too light. And again, you can skip any part that you don't like. All right, before I go on to the flowers, I just want to go around and add a tiny bit more white. I want an even lighter color here. So I'm going to go to just add it to a section of my already existing lightest color. So I'm going to, that might be a little too light. Sometimes you got to test it out. Yeah, it's better. I'm going to put a little bit of white highlight, dry brushing onto that tip of the nose. Yeah. To the mouth, dry brush it in. Just a little bit on the ear. Let me see if I can get a little bit lighter. A little bit on the top of the eyelid here. I want to go a little bit lighter so you guys can see it. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe some there. There. You can just randomly put some highlights. Of course, I got to do this ear. I felt like it needed a bit of a a little bit more of a transition of I need a contrast, sorry, not transition, a contrast, and then I'm going to switch to my little brush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a highlight on the nose, because I feel like the nose really needs it. All right. I think we're good. I think we're good. Maybe make those a little lighter. All right. Sorry, I could do this all day. All right. So now we're going to do the flowers. So those are very quick and easy. If there's any part of your giraffe that you want to fix, now is the time. Or at the end. Like, I'm actually looking at mine and I'm thinking that this might be a little, the transition should be a little bit more on this. And like I said before, you can go back anytime you want, really. And at the end is fun because you can kind of just step back and be like, all right, I kind of wanted it a little darker here, a little lighter there. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we are going to create, we're going to do the pinks first. So I'm going to get a new plate. So I'm going to have pink, and I like to add a little bit of yellow to my pink, okay? And then I like to add a tiny bit of black, okay? Just trust me on this. So you're going to have this dark, of course I put way too much, so you want this dark color, okay? Looks like blood. Okay, then you're going to add a little bit of white to that, just a little bit, just to make it creamy. So you have this creamy blood color. Okay, so I'm going to have one of my flowers, my pink flowers here. And I like to make it look like it's like a potato or like a meatball, like lumpy. Okay, then I'm going to have another one probably here. Make it a little bit smaller. Now you can put them wherever you want. You can put more pink ones, whatever you want. I'll make one in the back here. It'll look pink later. All right, I think that's good. Now I'm going to put a couple purple ones. So I'm going to make some purple. You guys should be really good at making purple now. Then I'm going to add some white. So it's still dark, but it's creamier. I'm going to add a purple one here. Let's see, I'll do a purple one here. And that's good. Maybe a purple one over here coming out. So now we're going to make a dark green. So we're going to take green, 3 scoops maybe, add a tiny bit of black, until you get like a nice dark green. I like to add a little yellow to my green, just to make it a little limier. But you want like a nice dark forest green. All right, so once you get that, then you're gonna add, of course, a touch of white, make it creamier. All right, so now we are going to be making some of the leaves that are coming out, okay? So you can figure out where you want them, kind of step back. I'm gonna make this one kind of fat to skinny. I'll do my big bushy ones with this paintbrush. And then I'll switch. Let's see. Make another. Big bushy one over here. Then I'm going to switch to this tiny brush. I think I'm going to make kind of like leaves coming out on this one. So obviously the tiny brush is for details, and the bigger brush, I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but some people will try to go into detail with that big, huge brush, not realizing that it's easier if you use the little one. You learn stuff along the way. Okay, let's think I have another one up here. I love using this brush as like to make leaves like that. Okay, let's see. Another one. I mean, really, you can just put them anywhere you want. Let's just put one here. Okay. Let's put another one out there. I guess we can make this one with skinny branches. It's quite skinny little parts on it. Maybe have some flowers coming out of there later. If you run out, just make more. It's not a big deal. Okay. I think I'll have one coming out there. Okay. Let's see, what else? Maybe I'll have, let's see. I feel like there needs to be some green in there somewhere. Maybe I'll just make that. Okay, so I'm going to mush up some leaves here. And I'll show you how to make it look cool later. So it's a big mushy mess of things right now, but I'm going to show you how to pull everything out. Okay, so we're going to wash that middle brush off really good. Wash the little one off really good. Okay, and then we're going to go back to pink. I like to put a little bit of yellow in my pink. Put a little tiny bit of white. So you want to, see how I'm going next to my original color? So I can see, I want it to be lighter. Definitely lighter. So I'm actually going to use this brush, and I'm just going to start doing petals in the middle and then come out. And I like, it's sort of like bricks, you know, you're gonna do a petal between a petal. tapped me out, of course, so I'm going to mix some more. I'm going to do the same thing on this guy over here. Okay. Now, if you want to go even lighter, remember lighter, less, just to do some highlights. I like to just put them in random spots. All right, I like to so we're going to actually do everything like that. So if you want to do more flowers, that's a way to do it. That's a way to do it. Not the way to do it. It's a way to do it. So when you go to the purple, again, I'm going to, you see I'm using my tiny brush now. That's okay because we're doing tiny little sections. I'm going to go to purple. So I just want a lighter purple than I had. All right. You're going to go around the middle. Of course, add a little tiny bit more white to make it even lighter. And okay. So we're going to do the same thing with the leaves. We're going to make some green. I like to add a little bit of yellow. I'm actually going to pull in some of this darker green in there just to tone it down a bit. Add some white so you get a darker, a lighter color. And you can kind of just do your highlights. I'm just doing something a little bit different. I want these to be sort of like Bashir. I like to use my pinky as a kickstand. Some people don't. Sheesh, some people don't like that. some people like to put their elbow on the table. And that's totally fine. Use my smaller brush for the sharper leaves. Okay, I'm going to go just one step later in the same pile. And remember, lighter, less. Oh, I forgot to highlight my rose over here. Whoopsie. All right, we're getting there. We're almost done. Okay. All right, cool. Let me just highlight that rose real quick. So what I'm gonna actually do is add some white into here. Let me just grab this rose. I always like to put some baby's breath. All right. Make those pop a little more. All right. So I'm going to take some white. I'm just going to put some dots over here, just using my little brush. So I have that there. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. You can make up flowers. I mean, surely the flower you make up, it's somewhere in the world. Okay, and I think that is it. And if you want to go back, you can go back at the end. It's a great time to go back and, you know, if you want to go and do even brighter highlights for anything really, you can do that. If you feel like, wow, I kind of want my leaves to pop a little bit more, you absolutely can go back. There's never a time you can't. If you want to go back and add more flowers, you absolutely can add more flowers. I actually wanted to add, see when you add just a little more highlight, it pops a tiny bit more. You keep going. I wanted to add some orange, little orange flowers because I feel like it needs orange. So if you do just a little bit of yellow, just a tiny bit of red, obviously red will overpower the yellow. Add some white. Get to an orange that you feel good about, or any color that you feel good about that you think will kind of add to this. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm not gonna highlight these or anything. I'm just gonna put little orange. I feel like I needed that for sure. And there's nothing really going on over here, so I'll put some orange over there, and maybe, let's see, I don't know, I think that's good. I think that'll be good, so it's evened out. All right, I think that's what did it. All right, great. So I know that wasn't easy per se, but if you learn something at the end, then that's good. Every painting that you do, you will learn more and more. I learn more and more every time I do a painting too. So thank you for joining me, and you should be very proud of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.